So, every so often, a YouTuber done fucked up, and, they have to, oh shit, they have to release an apology. Now, there is indeed a right way to apologize. I'm going to start with the wrong way to apologize. Now, we do not say, I'm sorry if you were offended. I'm looking at you, Zoella. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, she sent out a bunch of tweets like 7, 8 years ago, which personally I think it's sort of irrelevant that it was that long ago. And I get people saying like she was an adult, she should have known better. Like if it was anyone else, then they probably would have been like fired and they would have actually been over. But because it was someone as like, influential as Zoella, she got away with it. I understand where you're coming from, but at the same time, this is so many years ago. She's made other comments and things that sort of go against those tweets, and it kind of just seems a bit but I mean, whatever. But the part that was kind of stupid was the apology, where she used the classic, I'm sorry if you were offended, which is basically saying, I'm sorry that you're a piss baby, rather than, I'm I'm sorry that I did something wrong, which is yeah, so just a genuine like I'm sorry I did this thing wrong has a different connotation to I'm sorry that you think I did something wrong. It's kind of, shifting the blame. And then there's also the whole £50 advent calendar thing, which by the way, the apology video was shoved into a 40-minute vlog at the very end, which should have been its own separate video. Not to mention it was on her second channel. So it wouldn't have been as, easily accessible. Like, people aren't out here trying to find her second channel. And from what I heard, it got to like number 3 on the UK trending? I think, yeah. So, yeah, she got all those views, and she put ads in it as well. And I tried to watch it without the ads because I'm not giving that bitch my money. So, I refreshed it like 10 times trying to get away from the ads. I even looked up how to not give people AdSense. I'm just really not here to give her my money after she ripped off so many people with not just the advent calendar, but Hello World as well. That's a whole nother story. So, basically, for those of you who don't know about the advent calendar, she released this shitty advent calendar with 12 windows, and inside of each was a subpar gift. And I've seen so many videos of just like people showing like what's in it. I know that there's two particularly popular ones. There's Eltoria, who made one that was sort of a bit more positive, and then there was Jack's Jackmate, who made one that was a bit more like satirical, making fun of it, because it is quite ridiculous to pay £50 for an advent calendar with pure trash in it. I know I've seen quite a few videos as well, and like tweets and everything, where people have gone through Amazon and whatnot, and they found each of those individual items that are in her calendar, and it costs less than £50 basically. And some of it's like way lower, and it's just kind of gross how she's managed to get that much from it. A lot of her viewership is like, young impressionable girls. Some are like, below teen, some are teens, and, they're sort of like, hey mum, get me this for Christmas. And then, they'll beg their parents to pay £50 for a crock of shit. Now, yeah, I know parents were pretty upset about Hello World as well. She puts her name on it, people will spend so much money on it, and it's not even worth it in the end. But she won't take responsibility for it. In that apology video, basically, that she's profiteering from, basically, she talks about how, it's she basically just pushes the blame off herself. She says, oh, I didn't pick the price, I just selected all the things in it. Boots set the price. She basically just blamed it all on Boots. She said it wasn't her fault, she just picked the things to put in it, which are pretty shitty in the first place, and I don't know why she thought those were good items to put in an advent calendar. I'd prefer a $2 chocolate one, actually. It's a bit shitty of her to just, you know, shove that aside and not take any responsibility for it. In that apology video that she shoved into a vlog, so you have to sit through that vlog before you can see the apology video. She didn't make it separate, which is just ridiculous in itself. It was a subpar apology as well, so it's just... What are you doing, Zoella? Compare the whole, you know, exploiting children for money with Jenna Marbles and her fishies video. In case you don't know, Jenna Marbles uploaded a video of her going to a pet store and buying some pet fish. She read all the comments, she took it down, she felt so bad, she cried for so many days. She didn't know how to properly take care of the fish. She basically, a lot of people just think, oh, you know, fish, just put them in a round bowl and they'll be fine. Apparently, you know, a round bowl makes them lose their minds or something. So, she basically hadn't done the research, she'd just gone with whatever, the guy at the fish store told her, and apparently that was all wrong, and the, fish community of YouTube had, explained all this to her, oh shit man, you can't actually have a round bowl that, you know, screws up the fish's brains or whatever. It makes them think there's predators when there's not, you know, that the tank's not big enough, it's not gonna fit them, blah blah blah. She basically, took a few days to sort of figure out what to do, and then she uploaded this video without ads for almost an hour, basically explaining everything that she did wrong, and she tried to rectify it. Okay, take note, Zoella. She took full responsibility. She didn't blame the fish guy, even though he gave her misinformation. She said that it was entirely her fault because she should have done the research and whatnot. And she's trying to educate others on the correct way of having fish for pets, and rather than just being the typical oh yeah, you know, we want to fish a goldfair won a goldfish at the fair when I was a kid, you can do whatever you want with them, to sort of how to properly take care of fish because they are living beings. Compare that apology of, you know, acknowledging what she did wrong, trying to rectify it, with Zoella taking no responsibility and trying to further exploit people for money. So, you know, the other thing with, is, so, and you kind of have to compare the scale of these two, no pun intended, with Jenna's video. You know, people kind of see the whole fish issue as a bit trivial because, you know, people don't really care about fish, you know, who gives a... Ugh. Comparing her crying over mistreating fish accidentally with someone making a half-assed apology about exploiting people for money. Yeah, you can sort of see the difference there. She, oh my god, call this me kissing her ass, but I've been subscribed to her for years, I can respect, you know, she just wants to, you know, she genuinely cares, she wants to do good things, but with Zoella, it just constantly seems like she's exploiting her fans for money, and she sort of knows, she has a young, impressionable audience. A lot of them are sort of, young enough where they kind of have to use their parents' money for things. So they're kind of you know, beg their parents, and their parents will be like, oh, this shit's expensive, but they're like, oh, anything for my darling child. So then they'll buy it, and it's piss disappointing, but, you know, their kids will still be thrilled. And it's lazy, it's disgusting, and the fact that she's in any way gotten away with it and has people defending it is kind of just this... What is wrong with our world? Ugh.